It's time for Book Show with your host, the irascible yet easily influenced Danny Marks. Hit it, Danny! Hey, it's Book Show time, and welcome to like 226 new subscribers. It's crazy. I have to say, it's a big thank you to that little powerhouse Priscilla. Her word is apparently gospel, the gospel according to the readables. And she kind of shouted me out, and I guess you guys are all here, and this is probably one of the reasons you're here, is Book Show, or something. Or maybe it's just because I talk nonstop about whatever I want to talk about. I don't know. I've just got to say, this has been an amazing month for books. I read a lot on my Nook this month, and I think the reviews are going to reflect that. So let's get on with them. First up is Lauren Oliver's Before I Fall. Pictured here. Filed this one under the category of I wasn't sure I was going to like it. For one, I had no clue what to expect. I really hadn't read anything about it. I hadn't even watched any reviews of it. I just knew that people kind of liked it or loved it. So when I started into it, I was really captured by the, what I'll call, bitch voice. And I think that's because I love that. Like when I sit down to write, that's kind of how I kind of take it. I love that voice, that idea that this person who is sort of unlikable is your hero. So here's the rundown. Samantha, our protagonist, who is a very not so nice but super popular girl, has to relive the same day over and over again until she gets some things right. At the end of each day, she dies. So it's unclear as to where the book is ultimately heading, and that's kind of what makes it fun. The way that she changes each sequence of events as the days progress and her relationships change makes for really intriguing reading. Oliver really finesses the teen voice really well. The tone of the book is pitch perfect. The characters are really well defined and intriguing, and I can't say enough. I loved it from the first chapter. I was shocked at how sucked in I was. I think Lauren Oliver's Before I Fall has more than earned its 5 dead groundhogs. Gabriella, what are you doing here?
I thought I'd stop by for a visit.
That sure is a pretty dress.
Why, thank you. I got it special for this segment.
So, do you have a book you'd like to talk about?
I do. And surprise, surprise, it's creepy. For my very first book review here on Book Show, I chose Michael Ford's The Poisoned House. I thought it was a light, funny read about ghosts and dead mothers and maids who are treated badly. It was fantastic, creepy, which I love, which makes me feel good inside.
So you liked it, huh?
Yes.
Sounds good. I read it too, Gabriella. Would you like to hear what I thought about it?
Not particularly.
Okay. Maybe next time.
Danny's annoying questions almost made me forget. I gave The Poisoned House 5 creepy dead things.
So I'm really excited about this next one. I had been looking at it for probably close to a year, but when my editor sent it to me, I had just bought a copy for myself, so I ended up having 2 copies. And then we're talking about The Maze Runner by James Dashner. And it's one of my favorite dystopians at this point, I have to say. The action really starts from page 1 when Thomas is sort of plopped down in the glade, which is this kind of huge courtyard in the middle of this gigantic maze with movable parts and monsters living in it. And there's sort of a Lord of the Flies thing going on with a bunch of the boys in the area, and they're really just kind of running through the maze, trying to figure out if there's an exit and having to get back before dark when the Grievers show up, which is this big gelatinous mechanical sawzall kind of monster that is pretty nasty and needly and tentacly, and it's frightening. The book is super fast paced. The mystery is really sort of tight, so you have no clue where it's going or what they're going to find when they or if they ever get out of the maze. And that's what sold me on it. I am absolutely hooked on the series, and I'm looking forward to reading the Scorch Trials, which I have. It's back over there somewhere. And in this day of dwindling boy books, I was just really happy to find one that is like super on. I give James Dashner's The Maze Runner 5 gore-spattered grievers. It would have been cool to have like a squib in there and just like squeeze it and blood squirt out over my face. That's not gonna happen though. Now I know we're not supposed to pick out favorites like when it comes to children or pets or things like that, but we do. Let's face it, it's just a reality. Some are better than others. Like Ransom Riggs' Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. This book is amazing. And what I find so amazing about it is not that the story is better than any of the others I've read this month. I would give that to Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. What's amazing is that Ransom Riggs has taken his hobby of collecting photographs from swap meets, flea markets, antique stores, and turned that into a book, a story that sort of utilizes those antique images and bizarre images at that, and puts it into a sort of fantastical, mysterious world that blends it all together. It's really interesting. The story follows Jacob, who after his grandfather's untimely death is thrust into an adventure that takes him to a misty island off the coast of England and an odd orphanage full of children with bizarre and supernatural powers. As an homage to the kind of creativity at work in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, I went out this week and did a little scouring myself and ended up at an antique store where I found this couple. And what I found so interesting about them, number one, the photo itself is almost illustrative in quality. The close-up of it almost looks like a sketch. What I found so interesting is that they actually look alike. So it actually did spark a story for me. I was like, well, what if they're the same person? Then, at a different store entirely, the dogs are going crazy in the background. I can't do anything about that. I found this kid, which really, obviously, if you were going to hand out gold stars, which he's wearing around his neck, wouldn't you give it to the kid who wore the mullet of fantasticness? I would. And frankly, when it comes to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, I give it and Ransom Riggs 5 mullets of fantasticness. On the next Book Show, Renesmee confronts her father.